Good morning, Shufflebus riders. How is everybody doing? I've got my coffee with my dog on it. Yep,
With
that's
your
right.
dog?
Yeah, my brother gave me this as a gag
That's
gift.
awesome.
It is pretty awesome. So I drink coffee from my dog mug.
I miss Greta. That's like I miss
She,
her the most of anyone
she's
from
sleeping
moving to
right behind
Florida.
me right now, dude. She's like straight up sleeping behind me. So we are getting ready to kick off the 2021 World Championships. This is an invitational only tournament. So basically, if you were a Shuffle Bus competitor and you competed and placed in the top 8 of any of the 5 Shuffle Bus seasons this year, then you received an invite. And that went out to about 22 players. Because this is a single day event instead of the traditional long event we normally have of players, um, being able to do 3 or 4 days in between rounds, we wanted to do this all in a single day event for a celebration of all things Shuffle Bus tournaments. And not everybody can participate, obviously, because it's a single day event. So we have 12 competitors that have entered the arena today to compete to be called Ash's World Champion. Do you guys have any odds on favorites in this field? I don't know if anybody looked at the field yet to see who was all playing. All right, we'll just jump in on JK and Inquisitor here.
Yeah.
That's the table two. So,
So
uh,
sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties, so we missed the beginning of the game. But
yep. So we're gonna pick up this game midstream here. I've got to update our thing. So we've got JK versus Inquisitor here.
looks like a bear is being hunted.
You can kind of try to catch them up while I'm getting the
Yep,
overlays
I'm getting the
updated
deck
here.
list up. Okay, so we have a Herald and Lulu matchup. The JK Lulu is a deck that I just love. It's very similar to what he played in season 5. And it's just like extremely aggressive form book.
Well, and Inquisitor is a master at Herald, right? We've seen him take a Shuffle Bus championship on the back of Herald. That was season 4, I think, that he won
Yeah,
that.
season 4, that was the extremely long Herald mirror.
Yep.
It looks like we're having just to get caught up on the game a little bit. Bear attacks Lioness and is blocked by Herald, it looks like. Yep. Hunter's Mark on the bear.
Watcher's
Probably got Pain Shaman.
Yep.
I'm just guessing because we don't know. Obviously, JK still has a Gilder available and a card in hand. We still have a Ceresaurus on the Herald side and a card in hand. Looking at the lists, obviously, JK started as 4 books: Lizard, Bear, Gilder, Monk. And it looks like Raptor Herder as the 5th card.
Yeah, we saw him
draw a card somewhere.
He might have ceremonial something back. That might be where the 1 damage came from.
Well, he has a Raptor in his discard pile and 4 books in play.
He
so
probably
it's actually round 2.
He had a sympathy power. No, we're still in round 1.
Okay.
And the first player was JK.
Okay, so he's sympathy powered. Interesting. So here we have Ceresaurus kills the bear, which I think Lulu is pretty happy with. The bear with the mark and the 2 damage on it, eating the Ceresaurus attack.
Yeah, I mean, Ceresaurus still gets in for 1 damage, which, 16 health Lulu, that becomes a problem.
Right, but you essentially had like a 3 power unit and 1 damage to face that you only use 1 power of.
Right.
On your bear that like takes double damage. And the last card was Fester on the Ceresaurus mount.
Right, which gives the Pain Shaman back to Inquisitor for next round.
Yeah, which with only 1 dice left, that's really good.
Yeah.
Pain Shaman in hand is essentially like -1 card drawn. He'll have a frog ping if he wants it. I guess both players will. But the Herald is going to start with a Lioness in play. So he's kind of
that's a pretty happy place when you're going first at the top of the round to have a 2/2,
especially Lioness. Against like when you're when your opponent is on 5 units, essentially 4 books and a raptor, to your 3 books, which you get to reset your fire archer. In this case, it was not a reset because it was a pain shaman, but
this is an interesting decision. Do you block with the fire archer here, or do you not? And
I would not.
Yeah.
He does anyway. Okay. I guess he values his life total against the burn deck.
Right.
I feel like I would rather have the 1/1 body
because now the spark's going to hit this Lightbringer and leave you just with a Wing Lioness in play.
Oh, actually, that was really good. I apologize. Because it put a damage on the Gilder, he can frog ping the Gilder now and not get sparked.
Very true.
So yeah, that was actually a really good play.
Yeah, Herald does have a way to extend a lot of life on the back of this Pain Shaman and the Consume Souls that are in the deck. I think this is a 2x Consume Soul deck, right? We talked about this on Thursday stream.
I think this is the 3x one. Yeah, this is the 3x Consume Soul, 2x heal.
Okay.
Which we'll see how good that is. It's kind of up in the air, right? So like the 3 Consume Souls and 2 heals are good specifically against the burn component of the deck, but the Hunter's Mark is still good, but probably at its worst mode against a 4 book like this, where it doesn't have anything huge to hit. It just it just kind of makes your guy trade for Frostbeck every time, and then you slowly get behind to the books in battlefield presence. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. It does look like Herald won round 1 by a couple dice, though. So
yeah, it does. You're right with that frog ping, and when you take that into account here as we go into round 2, keeping up the Lightbringer and the Wing Lioness is pretty nice. You're up by
just
said,
2 dice.
Yeah,
but I mean, Lioness is a good 2 dice. The stock unit being in play prior to your opponent being able to do anything is very good, right? That's better than just having a 2/2, because he essentially can't make any. He can't make any unit he's not okay losing to the Lioness at any time this turn until the Lioness is dealt with.
Right.
And in his book setup specifically, Lizard is looking pretty sad right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time making a Lizard into this. The Gilder helps you get back on track, right? Because you can Gilder frog ping the Lioness away.
Yeah, but that's where that 2 dice advantage comes in, because you're gonna lose 2 dice this round to it. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, this deck, this Herald doesn't have any Golden Veils,
right?
So Phoenix Barrage does a good job of picking up that Lioness and something else to get some of those cards and dice back. If he has the PB.
Salamander Monk feels pretty good against Herald. I mean, it's. I'm not sure it's specifically good against this Herald that's rocking Pain Shamans.
He just has the 1 Pain Shaman, but I think it's good. This is the kind of play you need to make into the Lioness board, because you just want to lose as little as possible to this Lioness as the round goes on.
If you're Inquisitor, do you put your foot on the gas here a little bit? You could, right? You could play Pain Shaman and ping the Salamander Monk away, heal a point of damage, and then force your opponent to play something that you can attack profitably with the Lioness.
I think Pain Shaman's a fine play. I don't know if I'd call that putting on the gas, really. You're just making a 1/3, and
you're most likely going to mount the Shaman. You're not going to take the risk, right, that he would ping fester your. I guess he doesn't have ping fester showing, so you wouldn't have to do this right here.
I also would be perfectly fine with my opponent ping festering my Pain Shaman, because if he has ping fester, he's not going to ping fester Pain Shaman. He's going to wait until it's mounted and then ping fester the Sarasaur.
Right, but you got 4 allies already in the bin out of 9, right? So
he's got ceremonial power and stuff. I think
I'll just takes the 2 from those double Salamander Monks here.
I think he's going to continue to play this control-y, grindy game. And we knew those Salamanders were going to come in. I think that's a fine attack, because you don't, again, as the Lulu, you don't really want to commit anything into the Lioness, and then or into Hunter's Mark for that matter. And the Herald has a bunch of Nature's Wraths. All the decks this tournament have a bunch of Nature's Wraths.
Can we give a big shout out to Dijon and company for how hard they've worked to make Ashteki so good?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about that several times today.
I know, but I just felt like it was appropriate here to make a small shout out while we got a little bit of a lull in the game right now.
They are a big reason why the digital community has been so successful. You know, TTS is fine. Like, it was fine. It got the job done, but this is really like.
So if you are an in-person Ashes player, generally speaking, and have not tried playing online yet, you really owe it to yourself to try this, because while it's not the same as sitting across the table from your opponent in a real space, of course, I mean that's for sure. But in these times, and with Ashes being a smaller community,
so we had the make the Ceratosaurus crack for 3, which I think is a good play. It's like a thing you're gonna do anyway. But the Lioness got Sympathy Pain there. That's a huge
win for the Lioness there.
That is a very good way to pick up a couple dice back, because now with Herald not having any unexhausted units, he can make Bear safely into Hunter's Mark.
We're definitely seeing the speed of these two decks at work here. Obviously, damage on Phoenixborn Herald has got a slight edge, but when you start thinking about this play pattern here.
And he hunts it anyway, knowing that that's like the biggest life unit that this deck could possibly make. I don't think he has any actual allies. Oh, he has a Hunt Master, I guess, a single one, 2 Fire Archers and 3 Raptors. But so this is obviously like the best Hunter's Mark.
And now you really do stall the bear this way, right? Because even if you try to attack with the bear, the Lioness gets to kill the bear, and that's the kind of thing you want to be doing.
This is a trade that I think I would make if I was JK now, because the bear, while it is better text, it's now equal dice investment to the Lioness. After round 1, obviously, when you pay the book text, now they're both 2 dice units. So you're essentially trading up with the bear in resources by attacking the Lioness here.
If you're Inquisitor, though, and you try to attack and you just let the Herald block it instead.
I think he would definitely Herald Guard, but we have a Phoenix Barrage.
That's a good way to get rid of that Lioness.
And it's really good to put 2 damage on the Ceratosaur with your Gilder book out.
Yeah, absolutely.
This, as good as round 1 was for Herald, this round is looking pretty good for Lulu. We'll see if he has a big play with his last 3 dice here.
All that burn coming into play here, the Sympathy Pain, being able to burn out the unexhausted Lioness, and then the Phoenix Barrage coming in to start cleaning up the board.
Right, he's traded very efficiently with his dice so far. We see a Meditative Fester. That's the first Fester gone.
And then 1 Consumed Soul gone here.
2 Consumed Souls gone, actually. There was one that lost.
So he's threatening Hammer Knight or threatening Grave Knight here.
Yeah, he meditated to get the Divine.
And
I guess it was a basic, so that's not really.
So I don't know if he's planning to ping Fester or something here.
They were both basic, so it could. I think it's just one of the 2 knights you named. Which is about the best thing I think he could do. I'm looking at his list here. I'm trying to see if there's like a better play with 3 dice he could make this turn.
JK is still threatening on this current dice spread. He can play Ember Root Lizard and Gilder and still play a Final Cry if something dies.
Yeah, or a Fester.
Yeah, whichever one he's holding here.
So this is kind of the thing I was talking about in round 1, where because he has additional books, we have a Nature's Wrath.
Just see a Nature's Wrath, wipe the Salamander Spirits out here.
That's interesting. I wonder if that indicates that he has Fester. I don't know.
Could he have Fire Archer?
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter.
Well, it does. It does with a Hunter's Markup.
Well, there's still a Gilder book open.
Sure. That's
true.
So we're now even on life here. Lulu.
Yeah, but like this is what I was saying, is that like having 3 books against the 4 book, especially when one of the books is a mount, your battlefield presence, like you get behind. And
we've talked about that a little bit on the regular show, which if you're new to the Shuffle Bus and you haven't participated in our regular streams, that's Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. But we've talked a little bit about these 3 Spellboard Phoenixborns and the difficulty they have, particularly when they run into these 4-book matchups like Lulu and Aradel. Just because there's just pure card advantage in those 4
right.
spells.
And a big part of this turn was the double burn spells
right
from Lulu. And I don't mean face burn, like he killed both Lionesses this turn at equal or a profit before they got to attack. So that was like the big reason that this has happened.
Right. Yeah, if you look at dice spend, I mean, obviously the 2 Inquisitor only spent 2 dice on the second line.
What did he get back with?
He brought back.
He got an Anchor Knot. Okay, yeah. So the Anchor Knot's good. It'll finish this bear off. It's gonna then die to a lizard.
Yeah, or
because I assume the last 2 dice here are lizard and spark for Lulu.
Yeah, I would assume that's true as well. So we'll see. A couple points of damage still land on this Herald. Then
just 1, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But the again, we have completely swung from a 2 dice. He just puts a Raptor.
He just slams Raptor. He'll spark Gilder and get lots of damage through this way. Well, more than he would have. Not a lot, but more.
It's a significant amount for essentially what is like 2 dice, because even though he would get the Anchor Knot killed, and he still has the option to do that. If he wants, but I just don't think he cares about the Anchor Knot at all now that it's in play, right?
Right.
Maybe he'll spark it just so Inquisitor can't make a Ceratosaurus right away next turn. Oh, but we're just having a gain 2 life block from it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Fighting says this is a good illustration of the downside of 2 dice 2/2s. I guess. The things that we saw that killed him. Sympathy Pain is a real card that I think people play more often as like face damage. I think it's actually better as what happened here. But I don't think you can necessarily say like two life units are bad because of Phoenix Barrage. Phoenix Barrage being obviously a very specific card in a very specific matchup. Because his units have had no problem trading in battle. So here we're just seeing him crack for 5.
Yeah, this is probably
amount of damage.
This is probably the end of Herald unless he's got a heal, because you can almost guarantee at this point, this deep, that Lulu's got either a Sympathy Pain, which JK didn't meditate into, or a Final Cry. And so you have just ping your own unit even if you want to Final Cry win the game. So this really puts Inquisitor on a deep pressure.
I agree with you fighting. I mean, I think that essentially like the argument you're making is just that Frostback Bear exists. Because there are obviously options that don't die to 2 damage in the game right now. That was kind of an interesting choice to kill the Herder. I guess that kills a spark activation. But it also allows, like, he could just ceremonial right now if he wanted, since you hit the actual ally. What I was saying is, like, because Bear exists and you can get a 2/3 for 2, it kind of makes the other ones look bad. But there just aren't very many units that like aren't killed efficiently by Phoenix Barrage. You start going down the 1 life units, and we have Cobra, which we know is busted. And then we have a bunch of 1 life units that are actually much more vulnerable even than the 2/2s.
Right.
So I think that Lioness in general, with the text that it has, is a little better rate than like 2 dice worth of guy. I think that 2/2 stock is like worth more than 2 dice, like a basic and a class.
So we're
for the state of the game, but but yeah, I mean, what we've really learned is that Phoenix Barrage is very good, and direct damage to units is very good.
Here's just another Raptor Herder comes into play.
The easy way. He didn't even have to ceremonial it.
Right.
He just drew all 3 Raptors this game.
I think anytime you can play 3 Raptors in 3 rounds, you're probably in pretty good shape.
In this matchup, I believe that's true.
I think there's a lot of matchups you're probably pretty good there. But we kind of missed, there's a series of events that happened while you were talking about 2 life units here. One was the Pain Shaman comes into play, pings the herder, or the Raptor Herder away, which had the spark on it, healed 1. We then saw JK respond to that with a Fire Archer to put that 1 damage back on the Herald, keeping him at 14. We then saw an Anchornaut come into play, which was used to remove, I don't know what he hit with the Anchornaut. What did he hit with the Anchornaut? The Fire Archer.
The Fire Archer.
Yeah. And so now, in response to that, JK has brought back another Raptor Herder here. Now, Group Tactics is not turned on yet, but certainly seems very likely to get turned on here pretty quickly. With
I mean, we know that he's not on Final Cry now, right? Or it would have just killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have so
this is a good Lightbringer
to turn off the Group Tactics you were talking about.
Right. This is a really good Lightbringer here. Meds Fester away, so he's got double. He's got double Meds a heal away, so he's now got double fraud.
At this point, I don't think that like the heals would extend his life a little bit, but I don't think that they're going to be enough. So
well, he's just at risk here of if
1/1 comes in.
If JK's got another Phoenix Barrage, it's GG here on this next play. The Raptor Herder forces the delay of that by 1 turn.
I believe that he does not have a 2 damage burn spell that he may have a Sympathy Pain. But the Herald was at 14 already once, so he would have just killed him then.
But he didn't.
If he had it.
He didn't because he healed before he would have had the window to do 2 damage to win the game. This is the first time that this would be the first turn that he actually had 14 on him and had a chance to win. And because of the Raptor Herder, he had to force.
You're right, because it was JK first attack for 5, then Herald plays Pain Shaman to go to 13.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not sure.
He definitely doesn't have Final Cry because units have died and he didn't play it.
Right. I think it's either Sympathy Pain to win, or you've got a Phoenix Barrage to win potential here.
We did see him meditate from Heart to Snake, which I think heavily indicates the Sympathy Pain.
2 Sympathy Pains are already in the bin, though.
I don't know that he has any other cards that take Charm Power. And since it was already set on Charm class side, the only thing that you would up it for is Sympathy Pain.
Yeah,
unless it's a bluff.
It's a really tough place to be as Herald because you want to put damage on face, but you can't because your life pool isn't going to allow that to happen. Now you can, you can't even use the Ceratosaurus here because the overkill from the Ceratosaurus will trigger Sympathy Pain as well. So really, the only unit he can now play off of his spellboard is this Winged Lioness.
Well, I think he's in a place.
If he has the heal, I think he has to heal. But I mean, we don't know if he does or doesn't have that. I mean, 1 heal is in the discard right now.
It's interesting that if he made Ceratosaurus and attacked, and he has the Consume Soul, because he's in control of the Consume Soul and the Overkill, he can actually Consume Soul prior to.
That's true.
The Overkill hitting the. Triggering the Sympathy Pain.
That's true.
But again, 2 of those are gone.
So didn't have the heal, plays Winged Lioness. I don't know what that Divine Power die is for at this point. I guess to hunt bear. But did
he meditate for it?
He did. He did meditate into that.
Okay. So what power? Because that was again a class to power. So Grave Knight, Shepherd of Lost Souls. Shepherd is a power, right? Is it?
Yeah, Shepherd's a power.
No, it's a class.
Yeah. But I don't. And he meditated from a class, so I don't think that would be a reason to do that either.
He doesn't have any meteors. I guess Grave Knight's the only thing.
Just plays Raptor here.
Okay, I mean, he's making it very difficult for JK to kill him with attacks.
Mm-hmm. So Gilder come in. JK's battlefield is now full, but it won't stay that way for long. Harold's still got some room on his battlefield, but again,
but not a lot of gas to fill it with.
right.
Uh,
And the things that you could do it with, you're really at risk here because of your life total at this point. Yeah,
well, yeah, I mean, it's this game is looking pretty hard for the Herald now, because even like if JK doesn't have it, he could even just pass, discard 3 cards, and he's very likely to draw Phoenix Barrage or
a final
Molten
cry.
Gold
or
Final
Molten
Cry.
Gold. Yeah, you're right.
Uh,
That's just kind of the inevitability of these burn decks, which is what we saw in Shufflebus 5.
I think we're past even where the heal would save. Like, imagine if his last 2 dices round were heal, and he went to 10. Like, he's still very unlikely to not just have 6 points of burn in his hand next turn. But
So
I mean, these are the plays you have to make. And I think you need to attack with it, and just like, you can't afford to play around Sympathy Pain right now, because if he has it, you're dead. So you just have to play the
Yep.
And
there's the Sympathy Pain for the win. Yeah, I don't think there was an out as long as he's holding Sympathy Pain and you're at 14. And I don't think the Herald player had a heal. Because I do think if you
I think he would have played it. But yeah, so this is just a case where, so much of the power of Herald comes from Hunter's Mark. And against a deck like this, like, look at the units that are in play at the end of this game. Like, you're just never going to Hunter's Mark any one of those units. And so when you blank your opponent's Phoenixborn and you have an extra book on them, you just get ahead.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this a few times, and we're going to jump to another game if there's still any games in progress here, so bear with me while we do that. But I've talked about this a few times with Herald. In general, I think Herald can use the Hunter's Mark not just as a combat trick. I think it can be used as a way to get increased value out of nature pings and things of that style as well. So we've got a number of games still going on here.
There were 2 units on that board that didn't die to Nature's Ping. They were both Gilders. So like, even like saying that you get extra value out of the Nature's Pings, it doesn't against that board, right? Like, they're all 1 life anyway.